Hey Bat fans, Luke here ready to do this week's Bat reviews, and we have a ton of books to go ahead and take a look at, so I say we just go ahead and jump right into it. And we'll start with Batman Detective Comics issue number 941, which serves as the third installment of The Night of the Monster Men. And I think for the most part, I'm really enjoying Night of the Monster Men. It is not a phenomenal story by any stretch of the imagination, and it being the first crossover in the Rebirth era, I think it's actually doing pretty good. I still think the biggest part of the story we really even have like scratched the surface on, and that is the Hugo Strange portion of the story. We've seen one page of him, so I think once we get a little bit more time to kind of delve into that part of the story, I think this is going to expand and bloom a little bit better. But as of right now, I'm digging it. I think the art has thus far been good, and I think the art kind of continues in Batman Detective Comics. Issue 941, which I got both covers. I got the normal standard Yannick Paquette cover, and I also got the Raphael Albuquerque variant. So this issue, it develops more of the story that is current on the periphery. What I mean on the periphery is right now I think the centric part of the story is Batwoman and Batman battling that first monster they encountered in Gotham. But then you got the two sub-stories, which are Cassandra Cain and Spoiler, who are kind of dealing with all these, let's call it what it is, refugees that are kind of displaced right now. They all got them in a cave, kind of secure location for right now anyway, while all the craziness is going on. And normally what would happen, what you would expect to happen, there you would think with all those people in those enclosed, that tight enclosed space while all that destruction is going on outside of Gotham, that eventually, tempers would kind of start to heat up and you would start to see some friction. But what we find out in this issue is that there's an additional element that's kind of elevating that tension and anger, that's making people even more angry and more violent. And there's some other developments with that, which I think it turns to be an interesting part of the story. And the artwork in that part of the story is actually pretty cool. So you see Cassandra kind of warring things off, but you start to see Spoiler assert herself a little bit more. I'm not going to say intellectually, because I think that is maybe kind of downplaying the character a little bit, but we do see some dare I say, I'm not gonna say detective, because that's definitely ain't right either. But we'll just say that, call it is. It is what it is. Spoiler uses her smarts to kind of deduce a way to kind of counteract this algae fungus, which is kind of aggravating and making the tension even more intense down there in the cave with all the civilians there. And maybe we'll see a way for them to protect the people. Maybe not. I don't know. Other kind of on the periphery is Clayface. I think I only said two. There's actually like three. Well, technically four if you call Hugo Strange. But Clayface, he's at the point where he is like spread like super thin and he's like hanging on by the threads because he cannot kind of control himself when he's kind of making. It's kind of like you make a copy of a copy of a copy. It's not as good as the original. Well, it's kind of like this with Clayface, where he's making copies of himself. So not only is that the copies aren't as good as the original, but it's hard to kind of contain all those. So he's kind of being pushed to the max, trying to direct the civilians out of harm's way. In addition, we got the other part of the story, which is Nightwing and now Gotham Girl going to, I don't think it was Arkham, I forget the prison. Would it be Arkham? I can't remember. I don't know if it was Iron Heights or... Oh boy, I don't think it was Iron Heights either. That's Flash. Either way, they're going. We'll call it Arkham. I can't remember for sure. It might even be Blackgate. Was it Blackgate? Either way, they're going to go ahead and stop what they think is Hugo and all these monsters. But they get there and they do encounter another monster. But this one, you see a really good development and kind of expansion into the Gotham Girl portion of the story, where she is really, you can see her trying to kind of rid the effects of the psycho pirate to basically show she's not afraid anymore, and in doing so she just she loses herself. She loses total control, and yeah, she destroys a monster, but she destroys it like obliterating it, ripping entrails. It was pretty gruesome. And you see there, Nightwing's there. He's kind of trying to talk her off the ledge a little bit, but apparently, in doing so, all the monsters' blood splashing all over the place. Gotham Girl and Nightwing actually come in contact with the monster's blood, and then they in turn turn into monsters, which Nightwing turns into this. I think it was like a bat type creature, and then Gotham Girl just turns into this hideous looking thing. So now we got that plot twist. Now Nightwing and Gotham Girl are now monsters. So all in all, I really enjoyed this issue. Art, I really like it. It's not as, say, consistent of a style as like Rossmo's was, and then I can't remember who did the art in the Nightwing issue. I know it wasn't Rossmo, but I thought those two art styles were really similar. This one, which was done by, I think McDonald. Yeah, I can't remember his first name. Not to that exact type of art style, but one that kind of complemented it. So in trade, I think it'll flow pretty well. But I really enjoy this story. Batman's still kind of tense after a loss to Tim. You see Batwoman, amidst all this chaos, really asserting herself as a leader, which is good. And I really do dig the rest of the story. The monsters, some might think the monsters are kind of goofy look. I enjoy the hell out of them, and I think the designs are pretty cool. I just really can't wait to see what Hugo Strange is going to bring to this story once we kind of delve into that part of it. And all in all, fun story. I'll give Detective Comics issue 941 a 3.5 out of 5. Alright, next issue we're going to take a look at is the return of Damian Wayne in Teen Titans Rebirth #1. Got the standard cover. I will say, for the most part, this was a very basic story, and I don't mean that in a really bad way. For those who are just trying to jump into Teen Titans, haven't read anything before, and this is your first introduction to it, I think this is a perfect issue for you. Basically, each member of the Teen Titans gets a little slice of story to kind of give into, maybe not their full back history, but just kind of what they're about and what they stand for and kind of what their powers are. So you get a good introduction to that. If I had to knock this issue at all, I think Beast Boy, I'm sorry. Monster Boy. Just thinking of Monster Man. Beast Boy's character was a little over the edge in the first part, as far as kind of like the partying and kind of taking things to the to the extreme with the sexual escapades that he was willing to embark on. It just seemed kind of odd, but take that aside. His story was pretty good. The one I was really interested to see was how they're going to do Starfire. And the whole age thing with Starfire, I think they kind of have to figure out, because I think she's a little bit more older than just a teen. I mean, going back to the Red Hood and the Outlaw story, I thought she was a little bit older. But either way. But her portion of the story was good. Ravens was pretty good. We had Wally West, we'll call him the Kid Flash. His portion of the story was pretty good. I think that was it. And obviously, what's basically happening throughout the issue is that Damian is kind of, not going to say abducting, but he sort of is, each member of the Teen Titans to bring them together. And obviously against their will. And you kind of see the splash page at the end. It's definitely against their will. How Damian kind of picks off each member of the Teen Titans was pretty decent. The problem is, I think they were the story's trying to tell you, like, you don't know who it is, who's doing it, but clearly, number one, the cover gives it away. Two, this was solicited way in advance, that you knew that Damian was going to be kind of like the de facto leader slash someone who's trying to get into the Teen Titans. So you knew all along who was picking these people off. So I think kind of like the surprise factor that maybe could have been done was kind of lost, because obviously, clearly, you knew who it was. And then I know we were kind of, Johnny DeCosta and I were kind of joking a little bit about it. Damian's got Goliath, if you've been reading Robin's Son of Batman. Hold on, let me actually get ready to read the trade again. Yeah, that's Goliath, if you're not familiar. Goliath continues to be part of Damian in this story. So, all in all, again, it's a great introductory issue. If you've not read any Teen Titans stuff before, don't know anything about these characters, and if you're willing to just jump on, give it a try, this is perfect for you. I think it might be for those who are Teen Titans aficionados. This is going to be you're going to be too far advanced, I think, in this one. I think this is just a setup issue, and what you're really going to be looking for is going to be issue number 1. So I'll give this, and I'm going to say a 2.5 out of 5. It's average, but I think it's a good average. I mean, I'm not a Teen Titans aficionado, but I have a pretty decent reading history with the characters. I just thought that, again, it was so as far as, again, you can kind of clearly see what's going on and kind of deduct what's happening as it's happening. But it was fun. The art was really nice inside. I just think it was meh. Now, I'll tell you what, 2.5 might be a little rough. I'll give it a 3. But it was still good. Continue on with another Rebirth title. We have Batman Beyond Rebirth. Standard cover here. Terry McGinnis back as Batman. And we just came off the Batman Beyond series or volume where Tim Drake was Batman Beyond, and in this issue you do see kind of Terry kind of getting in the swing of things, and he's battling the Joker's gang, and he's still kind of dealing with the fallout of quote unquote being dead and then coming back to life, and his girlfriend not knowing that he's back and whatnot. And it was a good story. The problem with this is, it's not really a problem, that is that it references a lot what happened to the previous volume. If you were totally oblivious to what happened in the previous volume with the Tim Drake stuff and the Neo Gotham and all that good stuff, man, this might be a little confusing. So I do think you need to have some prerequisite knowledge of some of the back matter that's being referenced as you're reading it. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. The Joker's gang, I think it was a safe call, to be honest. I think in some Batman stories, if you are not too confident or you think the readership might be a little wary going in, I think if you correlate it to any sort of way of a Joker story, I think it's a way to kind of entice some new people to jump on who normally wouldn't. So I think there was a safe call just to get a Joker-related portion of the story to kind of bring this new era of Rebirth in. But at the end of the splash page, at the cliffhanger, okay, they might took that concept and kind of went a little bit the edge to it. But we'll see. We'll see. Art was awesome in this, and I thought it was a good story. Again, you might need a little prerequisite knowledge to get some of it, but still a fun time nonetheless. I'll also give this a 3. This would be like whereas Teen Titans, you might just kind of fought to give it a 3. Maybe on the higher end between a 3 and a 3.5. Really being fair, this one will kind of be the bottom part of a 3. I would also give it a 3. Want to be technical, I'll probably give this a 3 and then the Teen Titans 3.25, but I don't really like the 2.5. It's kind of like the 3 and the whole numbers and half numbers. But either way, Good story. Love the art. Interested to see where it goes. All right, next book we're going to take a look at Batgirl number 3. We have Batgirl in Japan and getting ready to go to Korea. And we see more of the fallout that occurred after her MMA fight with the, I can't remember her name, the girl with the tattoo in the arm. And we see, again, her eventually going to Korea to going up against, what's it, Moth Girl or White Moth? I can't remember. And in addition to that, we're seeing more of this mentor, this teacher, that maybe it's kind of like a worldwide thing. And it's not just, girls that this teacher is training. In this case, you see a construction worker who actually be a former student of the mentor trainer or whatever. And basically, in addition to that, Barbara's friend might be in trouble because this is all leading to this job that he got offered, and this happens to be in the same place that this mentor trainer thing, whatever. Be that as it may, the best part of this book is just the art. I love Albuquerque's art. Color is good. Bummer that I'm hearing that he's going to leave after the first story arc, so who's coming on board after that? We'll see. This is fun. This is like leaps and bounds better than the Fletcher, just call it what it is, garbage that was Batgirl before. And you see a lot of good portions of Batgirl. The whole memory thing and deductive reasoning, just being a badass. You do see that in here, so I think Larson has a good pulse for Babs, and overall, this is a good story. It's good. I just kind of want to get back to Gotham, Burnside, but let's not go back there and get back to the Fletcherisms that just really made Batgirl a drag to read. But this was fun, and it's a good read. It's good that it's monthly too, because I think this would be kind of stretched thin if this was bi-weekly. But it's a fun read. Again, the art's probably the best part. And the story's good. It's good. Not great by any means. I mean, the whole globe-trotting thing, it's like, okay, we're in Korea now. Okay, I get it. I kind of want to see it get back to Gotham, more Burnside, but keep maybe this tone of Batgirl, I think, can work. So we'll see. But this was fun. I'd also give it a 3 out of 5. It was a fun read. Again, the art is like the best part. I just love Albuquerque's art. All right, next we have Titans number 3. And to be honest, this wasn't terrible. I just don't know how much longer I'm gonna stick with Titans, especially now that we have Teen Titans. And not that it's bad. It's just I just got too many dang books to read. Just to be honest, man. But in this issue, we do see the fallout that occurred with Abracadabra and his battle against the Titans here. And we thought Aqualad would be dead, but obviously not. That cliffhanger definitely was a ruse. Nowhere close to being dead. Hurt, shocked a little bit, but definitely not dead. And the team comes together, and basically Abracadabra leaves, but hey, I'll come back and get you all type of thing. And then a big portion of the issue is just the team kind of thinking back on the battle they just had with Abracadabra and kind of the fall of this still thing with them not knowing what happened, portion of their memory being erased. There is a good interaction with Wally and Linda Parker in this, where it turns out to be pretty good, but the cliffhanger to the end, them kind of interacting, their bond actually kind of served as the what's the word I'm looking for? The driving factor. We'll just kind of leave it at that. For Abracadabra to kind of get at Wally, the key to getting him is through Linda, and he takes her off away. But I think the bulk, not really the bulk, but the driving factor in this issue is, again, this who's behind, erasing time and memory. And man, if you didn't know it was the Watchmen before, whether it be just Dr. Manhattan or in a combination with Ozymandias or what, but man, was it just like smack in your face in this issue. With Abracadabra holding a watch with the blood, it looks like the blood on the smiley figure we had on the comedian. Man, it just like, it just felt like you're reading this, and there's like the writing team on the side going, hey, I think it's the Watchman. You might not know it, but I think it's the Watchman. So it was like inadvertently in your face as you're reading this. And I get it. And from one, that's another thing. Some people I know, kind of talking about it, they're not really too excited about a Watchmen kind of incorporation into the DC universe. But I'm excited to see it. So, but man, it just, if you're going to slowly build to it, I get it. But this was, again, it was just like inadvertently in your face. It was just like, ugh, come on. The art, I'm another person that, when I talk to other people, I mean, Brett Booth might not be everyone's cup of tea as far as art style. I enjoy it. Granted, the proportionality might be off a little bit, but I think it was fun. So, but that said, the story was dragging on a little bit. I'll give this a 2.5 out of 5. Next issue, we got Suicide Squad number 3. Kind of breezed through this. The artness was great, but we see a continuation of battle with the Suicide Squad and General Zod. And that's basically the issue, to be perfectly honest. It's just an action-packed issue, or at least part of the main part of the story, between the squad and General Zod. Harley's moments in this, actually, it's like, we're going to talk about Harley here in a minute, but I really like this part of Harley. I think this is actually a good depiction of Harley, where she's still technically a bad guy or gal, but has her moments. One of the other stories, she's almost like a hero. So I kind of like this kind of depiction of Harley a little bit better. Croc, he's just like, he's hilarious. I mean, it's just like, what happens to him when people infer, it's like when someone was talking and the dialogue was kind of getting bland, even the writer was like, hey, this dialogue's going to make Croc throw up again. It was kind of funny and hilarious. But in reality, again, it's just an action story. Not that there's anything terribly wrong with it, but that was pretty much it. The cliffhanger at the end, the Annihilation Brigade, gonna go head to head now with the Suicide Squad. Okay, fair enough. Art was just great. But I think the backup story was actually pretty good. This backup story dealt with Katana and gave kind of like an origin of her story, kind of like we've seen prior with the origin, not really origin, that one was just a straight up spoof of Captain Boomerang, and one before that with Deadshot. This one done by Tan, I believe. Yeah, it was Tan. The art by Tan. Yeah. Or was it? Tan, the artist or the writer? Either way. The story was good. Good if you have really no reading of Katana. This is like a good 10-page one-shot on her origin. Her talking with Waller. And it was good. So overall, I'd also give, now, you know what, I'll give it a 3, mainly because the art, I think the art and the main story and Katana's one-shots, 10-pager, was really nice. I mean, the art really is beautiful to look at. It's just the story, it's just kind of, it's moving in like a snail's pace. You're like, oh, okay, a lot of action, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, 2.5 out of 5 average, but still, I mean, not terrible. Wrap this up with Harley Quinn and her gang of Harleys, issue 6 of 6. This is what I was talking about. Harley's kind of depicted more like a hero. And this story, and obviously her main title. This is the culminating issue where we see her go head to head with Harley Quinn and her gang kind of fight their way out of this terrible island they got with the help of the I can't remember the name of the character, but it's the spoof of Popeye, and he's basically sniping off targets that's allowing them to leave the island as Harley and Harley Quinn have their final battle. And basically, you see Harley trying to give Harley Quinn the benefit of the doubt, saying, hey, you're bad, but you're bad for a reason, and it's maybe not your fault. You need help. And she's trying to, to lend that hand to kind of get her the help she maybe needs to become a better person and recuperate and whatnot. And Harley Quinn's just not having it. And basically what comes down to, it's a fight. Harley says, hey, we fight, and if you win, I'll let you become part of my team. You got bragging rights. You beat me in a fight. If you lose, I'm going to send you. I'm going to go send you. You get some help and become better. Maybe you can be part of my team. But initially, again, Harley Quinn isn't having it. To the point where Harley just gets pissed off. She goes, you know what? Screw it. You're done. And she basically wins, and they leave the island. And you see Harley Quinn does. She's at a hospital getting some help initially, and Harley kind of talks to her dad, which is again like a running gag. Is like her dad's like Donald Trump. It's kind of hilarious. And she's kind of saying, hey, she needs help, and her dad's like, yeah, you're right. So you do see her go kind of leave the hospital to kind of like a mental institution to get help, but she gets kind of diverted, and she goes to Arkham. And who does she interact with? That I'm not going to ruin, but you could definitely see that we might see Harley Quinn again. It's definitely, the door is left wide open. Not only how it ended, and it's who she interacted with. Which, again, is that cheap? Not really. If you've been reading Harley lately, I think this person definitely has a bone to pick with her, and you see a way to get back at her with someone who's very much like her. So I enjoyed it. It came out of nowhere. Definitely was not expecting it. So, but again, the door's wide open with the return of Harley Quinn. Art in this was very good. I'll be honest, the first page was awesome. I was like, oh, if they can just keep this art like this, it'd be great. But it was a running gag too. Definitely didn't stick with that style, but still good nonetheless. This issue, I'd actually give a 3.5 out of 5. It was good. It kind of had a lot of good character beats, I thought, with just the type of person Harley is. While I just said, I kind of prefer my Harley kind of being the villain, a good villain side of way. And in this kind of interpretation, she's more of a hero. But that said, there are some good things to her, which were kind of picked in this story. I give the issue a 3.5 out of 5, and I give the story as a whole maybe a 3. I don't think this was a 6-issue mini, so it could have been done in an issue or 2. So, but anyway, those are my thoughts on this week's Bat Books. Let me know below what you thought, and we'll bat chat about it. And until next week, take care, everybody.